So threat number 4, um, ransomware. Everybody knows about ransomware, right? 20% of data breaches are typically classified as ransomware, and again, over $4 million on average to address these breaches. Just this year, Change Healthcare. I'm sure you guys have heard of that. They reportedly paid $22 million as a ransom payment, and unfortunately, lives were even lost during this breach because they took down the payment systems, and people could not get their medications in time. So how do you stop ransomware? Well, again, stopping it is may not be what's going to happen, but you can be prepared. You can assume that you will get hit with ransomware. And if you're planned for the attack and you're ready for the attack, then you'll know what to do when and if it happens. If you're going to assume that it won't happen, then you're just not going to be prepared. You're not going to know what to do. You might opt to pay the ransom. And even if you do that, you still may not get your information back, right? They may take the money and run. I mean, you're talking about threat actors. You're talking about cyber criminals. You clearly can't trust them to begin with. So why would you be willing to pay them millions of dollars? You may not even get your stuff. And even if you do get your stuff, you're assuming that they're not going to put all this out on the dark web anyways to be sold again. So do inventory on your systems, your applications, know what you can live without, know what you can run with in a minimal perspective to keep things up and running, to kind of spin things up fast to keep the business going while you rebuild everything. So decoupling your systems from the data, that is super important. Decoupling principle basically applies the idea that mostly in cloud, but you can do this on-prem as well. But it essentially is an idea that makes systems know as little as possible about what they're doing and the jobs that they're performing. That way, they're not reliant on anything, and you could pull things down, rebuild things, systems and applications on the fly, and then just connect right into a database or something to get it back up and running. Old school backups, tape backups. You cannot ransom a tape that's sitting on a shelf, right? I know everybody wants to go with the disk to disk backup. It's super fast, super easy to reload. But when it comes to ransomware, you can ransom your tape, your disk to disk. I've seen ransomware hop over across into a backup system that's online with everything else, and then it starts deleting all your LUNs and data, and then you can't even back up. Also, if you're using a cloud, if you're in the cloud, tape backups are a little tough to do. But what you can do is you can use other clouds to back up your data. So don't store everything in AWS. If your production is in AWS, use Google Storage or Azure Blobs to store some of this data. Put it in both areas. That way you have these backups in multiple places, and that are ready to be restored. And obviously test. You got to test your backup recovery strategies. So many times I've seen organizations that have never tested anything. They back up all day long, but then when it comes to doing a restore, they don't even know where to start. If something fails, they have no idea why. So practice makes perfect. And then vendors and third parties. So third-party software, again, keep the libraries up to date. Vendor, kind of your vendor check to make sure your vendors don't have any breaches. You can use third-party analysis. Dark web analysis for your vendors as well. That way, if they've had any breaches in the past, couple of years, if there's any information or data that could lead to your systems being compromised through your vendors, your IT vendors, or anything like that.